Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the Department of Women and Gender Studies 2021 commencement ceremony. And what a strange one it is. This is our second virtual graduation, and we're hoping that this one is a little closer to the in-person ceremony we will have next year. That is our hope. At least this year it's live. So that's movement in a very, very strange year. So we thank you for joining us in honoring our graduating majors, minors, and graduate certificate students. Just a couple of logistical notes before we begin. This event will be recorded and will soon be available on our website, along with all the information about our graduates that you will hear today. And Valerie is posting the link in the chat as I speak. Auto captioning is available for those who want it, and guests can choose to turn it on or off as preferred. So we are going to begin our ceremony with a commencement address from our new chair of Women and Gender Studies, Professor Kaifa Rowland.
Thank you. Let me figure out how to unmute myself. Hello. I'm going to begin my address with these words. To the A students, the B students, the C students, and my friends. My father, who was a longtime university administrator, speeches this way, and though the words do not fit perfectly in my mouth, I thought it would be fitting to do so here today. As we celebrate the achievements of the graduates who will be honored shortly, like some of you in the room today, I was not a straight A student as an undergraduate. Indeed, I was very proud of my 2.93 GPA. Of course, I went to college back in the days when an A was a pretty hard thing to come by. I begin my talk with you today on the question of grades because as of today, you no longer need to live your life in their pursuit. The COVID pandemic of the past year has changed everything. We honor those of you here today who were able to maintain focus and achieve academic accolades. We also celebrate and honor those of you who may have stumbled and struggled your way to the finish line. It doesn't matter how you got here, we are proud of that each and every one of you made it. As many of you know, I am new to the chair position and joined Women and Gender Studies Department as an outside member. This year, I have had the opportunity to see the stellar activities of staff, students, and faculty of this department more intimately than was the case as an affiliate faculty. So for the friends and family who may be wondering what your student's degree in Women and Gender Studies means, I share the following. CU was one of the very first women's studies programs in the country, and for that matter, one of the first in the world. Our students are part of a long and proud tradition in the study of women, gender, and sexuality. Our majors and minors and certificate recipients should be justifiably proud to be part of this intellectual tradition. Women and Gender Studies is now an academic discipline, but our origins are tied to a social justice movement, rooted originally in women's rights and feminism, but now incorporating a more comprehensive vision of rights that extend to gender identity, sexuality, race, ability, and beyond. We wouldn't be here without social justice activism. And part of social justice activism is facing challenges with skills that let us critically engage with events, policies, and mindsets that impact the most vulnerable, the most marginalized. Our 2021 graduates are representations of how women in gender studies advance a commitment to social justice and change. In a normal year, I might spend time describing how the 162 women in gender studies majors and minors we have today, like those of the past, are committed to academia and service to the community. Certainly, our students are recipients of the highest and most select honors for academic excellence, as well as their extracurricular and volunteer pursuits. Our majors and minors regularly excel across their courses at CU, and more than a third of our students pursue a double major, not to mention their paid work and volunteer pursuits, as they mobilize to enact social justice at every level. They leave CU with a local and global outlook, with plenty to say about changing the world. But this year, I contend that grades and accolades are only part of our students' success story. Beyond the inequities revealed by the pandemic at multiple levels, with media images of violence and death on Black, Asian, Indigenous, Sikh, trans, queer, and all manner of bodies moving ever closer to the Boulder bubble, we honor the fortitude each and every graduate has had to display just to arrive at this moment. What you have learned as members of this community is not to let this new normal stand. Since I'm still something of an outsider, I asked some of my new colleagues to help me with my comments to parents and friends for today. But I want to close by speaking directly to the graduates with some words of encouragement that I've spoken at previous graduations in my home department. There, I've told students about one of my favorite readings I teach that's titled A Labor of Love, An Emancipated Woman's Legacy. It is written by an African-American woman anthropologist who is a senior scholar in the field named Faye Harrison. The chapter talks about the role of love in her academic path. Love of the discipline, love of her students, love for her family, broadly conceived. Unless we are talking about romance or the more recent affective term in the discipline that attends to feelings and emotions, love is not a concept that anthropologists talk about a whole lot, though I imagine it may be discussed more in women and gender studies. Today, I want to incorporate it and the focus of another reading by a friend and former colleague, Bianca Williams, on happiness as a political project. As you go forth from the classrooms at the University of Colorado, I wish you love and I wish you happiness. Not happiness as your parents might conceive it, and not love as the movies portray it. I invite you to figure out your own passions, your own path, your own joy. Believe it or not, that is why we, your professors, do what we do. We love it, and teaching you makes us happy. Congratulations, class of 2021. We are happy for you, and we love you all.
Thank you, Professor Rowland, for that moving address. Very much appreciated. So a little about the program, or rather, the Department of Women and Gender Studies. The University of Colorado Boulder became, as Professor Rowland just noted, home to one of the country's first women's studies programs in the early spring of 1974, amidst the early activism of the second wave. Over the years, it grew and transformed, from being under the American Studies program at the time to being granted its own independent major. In 2006, the Women's Studies program became the Women and Gender Studies program, reflecting the evolution of a field that now goes far beyond the traditional conceptualizations of women's issues to address broader understandings of gender and the way it intersects with race, ethnicity, colonialism, sexuality, class, and ability. Along the way, WGST also added a graduate certificate. Faculty of color joined and left, sometimes en masse, and joined again. Today, we are among the few departments at CU whose faculty are primarily people of color, predominantly, I believe. In 2015, the program officially became the Department of Women and Gender Studies. This history attests to the tenacity of women and gender studies as a field on this and other campuses, nationally and indeed globally. We also take this moment to remember Lucille Berkeley Buchanan, the first Black woman graduate of the University of Colorado, who graduated in 1918 with a degree in German. Although the departments of German and Women and Gender Studies have been awarding an annual scholarship in her name for a number of years, it was only in 2018 that the University of Colorado publicly acknowledged for the first time that this extraordinary woman had graduated here at all. When Buchanan graduated with honors in 1918, she was not allowed to accept her diploma on the Mackey Auditorium stage alongside white graduates of her cohort, nor was she included in the yearbook. She sat in the auditorium, but her name was never called. She lived to be 105, and yet her remarkable place in CU's history was not acknowledged until very recently, thanks to the efforts of media studies professor Polly McLean, who was the first Black woman to receive tenure at CU. We remember Buchanan's story and history of exclusion today as a way of calling attention to the violence and exclusions of the present, as a way to strengthen our resolve to change this order of things. We also recall this history in recognition of the continued efforts of Black students at CU to make this an inclusive campus. And so this past year, they have been organizing passionately to get CU to divest from policing and invest instead in mental health and other resources oriented to the well-being of Black students and students of color on our campus. I invite you all to read the student petition by Black women students at CU that is now posted in the chat. Many of our students have been involved in these efforts, have been supportive of these efforts, and have been deeply, passionately involved in supporting these students as well in direct and indirect ways. So that has been much of what Women and Gender Studies has been preoccupied with this year. So we have several student speakers today who exemplify the unique voice and perspectives that our students bring to the program, the campus, and now the world. So please get ready to be moved by these veritable forces of nature. First, we are going to hear a graduation poem written by Shar Steinman.
Graduation poem. This is a celebration of knowledge. Congrats on finishing college. However long the road has been, that was then, this is now. Wow, I am so full of gratitude, with a loving attitude for the magnitude of learning. Yearning, churning for better, for more, close one door and open 1,000 more from the core to restore justice and peace. Turn over a new leaf, tackle the next beast, stretch for the next reach, and honor each and every lesson. Continue messing the sketching of normativity with creativity, with trans visibility, with racial and ethnic liberation, with constant education of this nation, with celebration, with love, with care, with hair, with flesh, with soul, never dull, always sharpening the lead in the head and the heart. Knowledge isn't just smarts, it's arts, and this is where it starts. Congratulations all, and never forget your call.
Thank you, Shar. This makes me miss live graduation so much, but that was terrific. Thank you. Okay, next we have a student speech by Jessie Bixler.
Hi, my name is Jessie Bixler, and I'm so excited to be part of the graduating class of Spring 2021 from the University of Colorado Boulder Women and Gender Studies program. That is a mouthful. A lot of people ask me what it means to study women and gender. And what I typically tell people is I get to study how to change the world through advocacy. Being a women and gender studies major means that we study injustice. And yes, we can tell you the difference between the first and second wave of feminism, quote Kimberly Crenshaw on repeat, and tell you about what Title IX is and what all of it means. But we got to learn about the shortcomings of our communities and the potential that those communities hold. We learned how to turn our inner strength into outward passions, and we were pushed to study and follow those passions, which can be exhausting and sometimes even painful work. But what is really beautiful is we got to turn that exhaustion into empathy and that pain into action. We got to learn how to do this from wonderful professors who I think each of us can tell you we were inspired by. But we also got to learn these lessons from each other. We were surrounded by a community of peers who demonstrate an understanding of their role in confronting injustice, a community who promotes unity, it rhymes, a safe space for people to express themselves, a chance to be vulnerable and not be afraid of what that outcome of the vulnerability may be. I find myself constantly amazed by the wonderful people who are graduating in this class with me. I was always learning with them, and I can tell you with great confidence, because I've personally felt it, that the people graduating in this class have the ability to teach others. Graduating with a Women and Gender Studies degree is not confining. It is freeing. It is the ability to choose a cause that you care about and be confident in knowing that you have the tools to inspire change. The journal that I wrote this speech in was given to me by a friend, and on some of the pages she wrote quotes, and on the page that I ended up writing my speech on, it says, "Your potential is immeasurable." And I do not think this could better sum up how I feel about my peers graduating from this program. To my peers, your change is immeasurable, and do not let anyone tell you otherwise. I have only been able to experience a small bit of your seemingly endless passion and intelligence, and I cannot wait to see all of the incredible things that you do to change the world. Thank you for teaching me so much, and I wish you all of the best. Congratulations.
Thank you, Jessie. All right, next, a student speech by Kiar Rickert.
Women and Gender Studies class of 2021. I'm so unbelievably proud of each and every one of us and the wonderfully supportive community that we've created here. When I arrived at college, only the second person among my family to have attempted it, I never expected I'd go on a journey where emotional growth was so central. The Women and Gender Studies community has been critical to that growth, and I'm thankful beyond words for that. I'd like to share one of my favorite gender studies frameworks that will hopefully inspire us all to lean into and utilize the complex emotions we may be feeling at this time. To do this, I'll be sharing critical concepts from Audre Lorde's Uses of the Erotic and Uses of Anger. You've probably read each of these once or twice by now, but I think they renew my commitment to myself and the world every single time I read them. In Uses of the Erotic, Lorde emphasizes that we have come to distrust that power which rises from our deepest and non-rational knowledge. Too often in academia, and really everywhere, we're reminded that we must be deeply logical and rational people, suppressing emotion as shameful or unproductive. However, when we're unable to share our lived experiences, our communities can't grow. We can't create a new world when we're mired in the old. To this point, Lorde states that the erotic is a resource within each of us. It offers a well of replenishing and provocative force. I'm sure all of us have heard the phrase, "you can't pour from an empty cup." And while we may consider the erotic sexual, I think Lorde is challenging us here to understand all which brings us joy as replenishing and generative. That which makes our soul orgasm is worth the effort. My favorite point which she makes in this essay is that a deep and irreplaceable knowledge of my capacity for joy comes to demand from all of my life that it be lived within the knowledge that such satisfaction is possible. This, I think, is crucial. If we can invest ourselves in finding our joy and grounding ourselves in it, we will not allow ourselves and our communities to be kept from that joy. Once we taste liberation, we won't allow oppression. She brings another crucial piece of advice that speaks so closely to the community care we seek. She says the sharing of joy forms a bridge between the sharers, which can be the basis for understanding. Not only can we create a tool for liberation out of our joy, we can create coalition and room for difference in our world. However, I'd never solely emphasize joy, given how difficult our existence as advocates and marginalized people can be. Lorde says everything can be used except what is wasteful. While it may not be sustainable to maintain anger all the time, we should lean into it and where it leads us organically. I've never felt more passion for social justice than when I'm completely enraged by the current situation. Lorde argues that anger expressed and translated into action in the service of our visions and our future is a liberating and strengthening act. We take a flame of destructive anger meant to burn us down, and we ignite oppressive systems instead. Oftentimes, in mobilizing such anger, we find yet another spark of joy. My purpose in sharing this today is to remind us all just how powerful nurturing ourselves can be. When we believe ourselves, listen to ourselves, mobilize ourselves, we can change the world. I want you to remember this and to hang on to it. It will serve us immeasurably moving forward. In each and every one of us completing this degree, there's a light entering the world that was missing before. I hope you can remember your joys and your angers and make good use of this light to brighten our communities. Congratulations.
Thank you, Kiar. Next, we have another speech by our final student speech by Emily McIntyre.
To my Women and Gender Studies peers, congratulations. We are here, finally. And you know what? I am so proud of us. After everything that has happened in our world, in our community, and in our own lives, despite all of this adversity, we're here today together to be recognized for our achievements. It really goes without saying that the past several months have been some of the most grueling of our academic lives. When we thought that we couldn't do it anymore, we did. When we thought that we couldn't stand to sit in a chair for 7 hours a day staring at the same laptop screen for 1 second longer, we did. And when we thought that we would never reach the end of a lecture just to hit that red leave button on the bottom right-hand corner of the Zoom screen, we did. While each of us has spent so much time imagining the end of the journey, and maybe for you, that's imagining the cap and gown, or the frame you're going to put your diploma in, or maybe it's even the collection of congratulations cards that you hope to receive from your relatives, I want to take a second to honor all of the in-between moments that got us here today. Because after all, it isn't always about just reaching the end of your goal as much as it is about the feelings during and anticipated once the end of the goal is reached. When the ceremony ends and summer begins, each of us will be emerging as new versions of ourselves. Whether you are further continuing your life in the academy, or growing in your activism, or going a completely different route, please remember that you've just accomplished something that can never be taken away from you. Because although a diploma is really incredible, it's also crucial to recognize that it's the lessons that we have learned and the strength that we have developed in this community that can also never be taken away from us. I wouldn't have traded my time in the Women and Gender Studies department for anything else in the world, and I'm so grateful for the staff and my peers who have helped me here today.
Thank you, Emily. Thank you to all of you, Shar, Jesse, Kiara, Emily, for these wonderful, moving speeches. I really feel like our job here is done. That's what it feels like listening to your speeches. It's just wonderful. So we are on to awards. So the Department of Women and Gender Studies has several awards, and we are thrilled now to announce the recipients. There are additional scholarship and award results that will be included in our upcoming newsletter and on our website. So presenting the first award is our beloved staff member, Alicia Turchett, who many of you know quite closely. So Alicia, take it away.
Thanks, Deepti. The Women in Gender Studies Creative Activism Award recognizes outstanding undergraduate creative works that raise awareness around issues of equity, such as race, ethnicity, sexuality, and gender identity. It's designed to help foster an inclusive and welcoming campus climate for students of all backgrounds and those historically underrepresented at the university. Students from across campus are invited to submit creative works for consideration by a committee of faculty, staff, and students from our department. This year, it so happens that all of the recipients are WGST students, many graduating today. The first recipient of this award is a group from our senior colloquium class for their collaborative activist project, Mutant, the intersection of sexual trauma and rediscovering pleasure. Winning group members are Brooklyn Martin, Isabella Martinez, Leah Steiner, Nina Patterson, Kalea Reed, and Taylor Turbin Lambert. They came together in the creation and decoration of a translucent human body sculpture using images, textiles, objects, and text to explore themes of authentic sexuality, vulnerability, feeling safe in the body, and eroticism after experience of sexual violence. Each person crafted a different part of the body, decorating the outside and inside to represent more private aspects of individual stories. The sculpture was displayed at community partner organization, the Colorado Women's Center. Congratulations to all 6 of you. This year's second award goes to Shar Steinman, whose poetry we heard earlier in the program, for his spoken word poetry piece, Holding Cell. Shar describes this work as addressing the criminalization placed onto transgender, gender nonconforming, queer, and BIPOC bodies. It investigates the impacts of the prison industrial system. This poem embodies love and empathy for moving through these challenging topics. A special note that this poem was also chosen to receive the Evan Wolfson Prize in LGBTQ Studies. Congratulations on such an accomplishment, Shar. And you will all soon be able to check out both of these pieces on our website.
Thank you, Alicia, and congratulations to all the award recipients. It's a pleasure to hear about your work. So every year, the Faculty of Women and Gender Studies has the challenge of determining which student we should honor with the Joanne Easley Arnold Outstanding Senior Award. This award is named in honor of a professor emerita of the School of Journalism and Mass Communication at CU for her long-term support of women and gender studies. Joanne passed away several years ago. This award is given to a graduating student for outstanding leadership and service to women and gender studies. It is to be awarded to someone who the faculty and staff have admired for their commitment to the program. This year, the faculty chose 2 outstanding students for this award, and giving out the first award is Professor Christy Suarez.
Thank you so much, Deepti. Our first awardee has been a leader on campus social justice issues, including her work on abortion access with the Brazen Project and her work with Gender Justice League on issues ranging from voter education to gender pronouns to decolonization. In Gender Justice League, she has often taken on leadership roles, keeping the group on track during planning meetings, lending organizational structure to our initiatives, and attending to the details, large and small, to make our projects a success. And I would add as well that I was honored to be able to work with her on what I think is her very powerful research on the decolonial impacts of the social media presence of Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. It's my honor to be able to present the Outstanding Senior Award to Adri Colon.
Oops. Our second award will be given by Professor Samira Mehta.
Our second awardee came to CU for her junior year, starting the very same semester that I started. After 2 years in community college, she was nervous about whether she would be academically well prepared for CU, and she was concerned about making this space her own. Despite the challenges of COVID, she has done spectacularly on both fronts. This student has built an intellectual community here in the Department of Women and Gender Studies. When she joined the Gender Justice League this academic year, she immediately took a leadership role. She has been integral to recording podcasts and posting social justice messaging on Instagram, and also helping to host the famous Tiny Mic conversations. I'm also going to say she defined my experience. Every semester I've taught here, I got to teach her, and I'm going to miss her so much in the fall. Emily McIntyre.
Congratulations, Adri and Emily, on your awards as Outstanding Senior of 2021. So now for the moment that you all have been patiently waiting for, the presentation of our graduates. Not all our graduates have chosen or were able to attend this year, but a complete list of graduates will be available on our website. We will start with our certificates. Presenting the certificates will be Professor Emmanuel David, our Director of Graduate Studies, as well as co-director of the LGBTQ Certificate Program.
Congratulations, class of 2021. So we'll begin with the graduate certificate. So the graduate certificate in Women and Gender Studies is designed as a complement to a graduate disciplinary program. It provides grad students with the opportunity to think in an interdisciplinary fashion about women and gender and sexuality, and to learn from a variety of scholarly and methodological approaches. Students in the program come from a wide array of disciplines, including, but not limited to, dance, theater, sociology, political science, communication, media studies, environmental studies, philosophy, and religious studies, to name a few. So we have two graduate certificate recipients this year. The first is Emily Irvin. Emily Irvin is graduating with a Master's of Fine Arts in Ceramics, along with a certificate in college teaching and our graduate certificate in Women and Gender Studies. Emily will continue to make their art in residency programs in Italy and thanks their family for their support and always helping with their crazy projects. Our second recipient, and I had Emily Irving last fall and she was amazing. So our second recipient is Kellyanne Walsh. Kellyanne Walsh is graduating with a Master's of Fine Arts in Dance and now looks to continue her work with Appalachian and disabled communities. Kellyanne would like to thank Dr. Mason Alomar, Michelle Ellsworth, and Nada Diachenko for their support and mentorship. So please join me in congratulating our two graduate certificate recipients. All right, next is my pleasure to announce the recipients of the Certificate in LGBTQ Studies. Now, usually these students are recognized at our annual Lavender graduation ceremony, where they receive their certificates and these beautiful rainbow stoles. And so if you haven't picked yours up, be in touch with me, I'll get it to you. So as you know, unfortunately, the event was not held this year due to the pandemic. However, since a number of our Women and Gender Studies graduates have also completed the certificate, we'll say a few words in our ceremony today. So a little background about the LGBT certificate program. In 1992, voters in Colorado passed Amendment 2, which prohibited state and local governments from offering protected status to gays, lesbians, and bisexuals. Colorado was quickly dubbed the, quote, hate state, and a national boycott of the state ensued. The amendment was soon challenged on legal grounds, and the case made its way all the way up to the US Supreme Court, where the amendment was overturned in 1996, in large part due to the work of Boulder attorney Jean Dubofsky, who argued this landmark case. Now, the passage of this amendment, as terrible as it was, became a powerful catalyst for LGBTQ activism, spurring many changes in the surrounding community and state, as well as here at the University of Colorado. In 1992, as a result of a task force that studied CU's climate for LGBTQ people, a number of initiatives were created, including one that involved the formation of an academic program for LGBT studies. So in 1995, the certificate program was established, and it has since expanded over the years. Now, completing the certificate is no small feat. Students must finish 6 classes amounting to about 18 credit hours, and this is on top of their already busy schedules. So I think this really attests to the hard work and dedication and commitment to social change on the part of the students listed here. Adriana Colon, Lauren Ferrado, Andrew Goldstein, Alex Kramer, Rade Leonicio, Eric McCarty, James O'Rourke, and Kiara Rickard. These students are now part of a long and important history, and we wish them the best in shaping the future. Please join me in congratulating all of these students.
Congratulations, students. Okay, now we move on to our Women and Gender Studies minors. Presenting the minor certificates is Professor Mason Alomar.
Okay, so to earn a Women and Gender Studies minor, you must take a minimum of 21 hours of Women and Gender Studies classes. As our students will attest, these are not easy classes. They challenge students to think critically, locally as well as globally, and across intersections of race, ethnicity, class, and sexuality. Receiving the minor in Women and Gender Studies, Chloe Andrews. Chloe Andrews will let you know when she figures out how to get rid of capitalism. Margot Bale. Margot Bale looks to continue her involvement in giving back to underprivileged communities and will pursue her master's in social work in the coming years. Celeste Berger. Celeste Berger will be continuing her activism after graduation. She looks forward to working as a brand strategist and is thankful to her family for their support. She would like to thank Dr. Suarez for being such a great professor and mentor at this college and will never forget the impact her class has had on her college experience. Mia Leanne Hutzler. Mia Leanne Hutzler shares the words of Audre Lorde, "Women are powerful and dangerous." Luke Tor Nordgren. Luke Nordgren plans to attend veterinary school with the goal of becoming a large animal veterinarian. He would like to thank his family, friends, and the amazing faculty and staff of the Women Gender Studies Department for guiding him toward a brighter future and allowing him to discover who he really is. Catherine Ornelas. Catherine Ornelas looks to pursue a career in the Department of Justice. She wants to thank her parents, extended family, and friends who have helped her succeed in college, along with their love and support. SCO Buffs. Quinn Margell Schulte. Quinn Schulte is grateful for all the growth, love, challenges, and joy she has experienced in this chapter of her life, which was all made possible by the lovely humans that surround her. Watch out for Quinn in her next steps of burning down the system. Elizabeth Symes. Elizabeth Symes is looking forward to the adventures that lay ahead and will be spending some time traveling after graduation. She wants to thank her entire family for their support during her time at CU Boulder and wants to give special thanks to her mom. Fortune favors the bold. Elion Van Slyke. Elion Van Slyke will be moving back to Seattle to pursue a career in healthcare. She is passionate about working with women and those who are often underrepresented in the healthcare system, hoping to transform it into a safe and accessible environment for all individuals. Congratulations, Women Gender Studies minors.
Congratulations, minors. Stay in touch. Okay, we're on to our majors. To earn a major in Women and Gender Studies, students must complete a minimum of 36 credit hours. Our majors take several required classes, including Feminist Theories and Senior Colloquium, both challenging classes, although in very different ways. The colloquium in particular is a rite of passage. During this unusual semester, the Senior Colloquium students learned about art activism, from sewing to visual art to music. The class then split into smaller groups to create their own art activist projects. And the results were truly incredible. One group, as you've heard, created a giant statue named Mutant that represented the process of rediscovering pleasure after sexual trauma. Several groups created interactive zines about queer community, body positivity, and community care. One group created a children's book to teach young people about consent. Together, the colloquium participants were able to demonstrate how feminist activism, when taken up with vulnerability, compassion, and courage, can be key to our survival during difficult times. It is an honor as well as a great privilege to now introduce our graduating seniors, and presenting the undergraduate major degrees in Women and Gender Studies is Professor Robert Wyrod.
Thank you, Deepti. Hi, everybody. It truly is an honor and a privilege to be the one that gets to present the majors. I mean, you're all amazing, but the majors, you're extra amazing, right? So I really feel lucky to do this. So are we ready? Here we go. We get to start with Jessica Ann Bixler. Jessica Ann Bixler has been accepted into the 2021 Denver cohort of Teach for America. She'll be teaching middle school special education at Aurora Science and Tech beginning in the fall. And during her time at CU, Jessica was heavily involved in student government, which is where she was able to meet wonderful people and develop her passion for community advocacy and educational equity. When she's not working or studying, Jessica was enjoying the outdoors through skiing and hiking. Congratulations. Adriana Paulette Colon. Adriana Paulette Colon, better known as Adri, will be looking to continue activist in nonprofit work within the community as she aspires towards graduate school for social work. Congratulations. Lauren Marie Ferrato. Lauren Marie Ferrato is grateful to her family and friends for the unwavering love and support. She plans to catch up on a reading list before pursuing a career in the publishing industry. Mar Galvez Seminario. Mar Galvez Seminario will be working as an administrative assistant for the Miramontes Arts and Science program, and in a few years, hopes to apply to graduate school for political science. They'll continue to work in Colorado politics, in reproductive justice, and the Latinx community. Next is Kate Kelly. And Kate Kelly wants to share their appreciation and thanks with everyone in this program. They feel so lucky for being able to learn and grow with those around them. Next, we have Alex Kramer. And Alex will be graduating with magna cum laude in Women and Gender Studies and Strategic Communications. And he'd like to thank the Women and Gender Studies community for creating such a supportive and inclusive learning environment. Next, we have Rady Leonesio. Rady Leonesio thanks all of the amazing people in their life, including professors, family, friends, and their partner. Rady looks forward to continuing activism and applying the things they learned here to the world at large. Next, we have Isabella Martinez. Isabella is graduating with dual majors in communications and women and gender studies, and says that she is beyond grateful for both the experience and the lessons that she's learned through WGST. And next we have Emily McIntyre. Emily McIntyre would like to thank the WGST department, her peers in Gender Justice League, and her friends and family for helping her succeed. Emily plans on continuing her activist work post-grad and would like to thank Dr. Christy Suarez for being such an inspirational figure in both activist and academic spaces, as well as Dr. Samira Mehta, who helped her grow as a student from the very first day. Next, we have Bridget Grace Nelson. Bridget Nelson who will be attending the UNC Chapel Hill's Gillings School of Public Health this fall to pursue a master's in public health. Could not have survived their undergraduate degree without the love, support, and the nagging of her loved ones. And next we have Adriana Nuncio Suniga. Adriana Nuncio Suniga will be attending the College of Social Work at the University of Utah, and she thanks her parents and friends for their love and support. And she's is also thankful to Dr. Suarez for their mentorship. And next we have Nina Christine Patterson. So Nina Patterson has spent her time as a student taking special interest in studying sexuality, sexual violence, neoliberalism, and ethical leadership. And eventually she'll go on to seek an advanced degree incorporating both sexology and spirituality. And you can check out her current project, Healing at Home, by Googling the Survivor Healing Collective. Next we have Kalea Paula Reed. Kalea Reed is proud to graduate with her bachelor's degree. Born and raised in Las Vegas, she will now pursue her law degree next year on scholarship at Denver University's Sturm College of Law. And she thanks her whole family for their love and support. I wish I could hear the clapping. Okay. And next we have Kiar Anya Rickert. Kiar Anya Rickert will continue their engagement with social justice issues with an emphasis on the queer community. They're grateful to the entire Women and Gender Studies department for expanding their mind, and Dr. Christy Suarez in particular for showing them the wonders of queer theory. Next, we have Charlie Reed Sevenance. Charlie Reed Sevenance, now having finished her degree, is ready to start traveling the world. She'll be working as a travel planner and group troop leader for a few years until she moves abroad for good, maybe Denmark, maybe Spain. Sorry, I almost put you in Sweden. Wherever she goes, WGST will always have a big place in her heart. And next we have Shar Steinman. Shar Steinman looks to continue his activism and liberation work through poetry, playwriting, and direct action. He would like to thank his family, partner, friends, professors, and Kat for their continuous love and support throughout his college career. And last but not least, we have Taylor Turbin Lambert. Taylor Lambert will be continuing her education in dismantling oppressive systems by pursuing a master's in social work at Portland State University with the hopes of becoming a victim's advocate. Congratulations, one and all.
Thank you, Professor Wyrod, and congratulations, majors. At last, we have come to the end of our ceremony. I would like to give a special thank you to our spectacular administrative staff. Valerie Bhatt for pulling off virtual graduation twice in a row. We salute you. Thank you for pulling together this amazing slideshow. And to both you and Alicia Turchett for your daily work in supporting the success of the department's students and faculty. Thank you sincerely. Please use your jazz hands to give thanks to our wonderful staff. And now, are you ready? Now for the big moment. This is it. So these are the instructions in advance, just reminding you, don't do anything yet, but be prepared. In lieu of moving your rainbow tassels from right to left, although actually some of you are wearing rainbow tassels. So those of you who are wearing rainbow tassels will be moving them from right to left. And those of you who are not wearing rainbow tassels, we've asked our graduates to be prepared with a symbol of celebration in whatever form you see fit. So, confetti, jazz hands, whatever. So please feel free to unmute yourselves, make some noise, show us your jazz hands, or participate in whatever form feels right to you. Pick up a kitten, whatever feels good to you, whatever is the moment or the gesture of celebration that marks this moment for you. So now, together as a class, as those who have come before you, and hopefully the many who will follow you, you become graduates of the Department of Women and Gender Studies. Congratulations.
Woo!
Yes.
Congratulations.
Unmute. Let's have some noise.
Congratulations, everyone. So proud of you.
Congratulations. Yes. A cat made an appearance.
Yeah.
Okay, graduates, we are so proud of all that you have accomplished. Congratulations once again to our graduates and to our award recipients, as well as their friends and family present today. We look forward to hearing back from you about your new adventures. Go forth and burn some shit down. The world is ready for it. So we applaud you.
Thanks, everybody. I'm ending the meeting now. We'll see you soon.
Thank you. Thank you, Valerie.
Bye, everybody.
Congratulations.
Bye.
Congratulations, everybody.
Congratulations.